right now, like during these COVID, during this COVID, food. Okay. Yes.
Good morning, good morning.
Okay. Okay. So let me see. Okay. So if you had to choose between healthcare, jobs, crime, city services, or education, what would you choose?
Good morning, Facebook. Good
Education?
morning.
Okay.
This is Rhonda Hamilton going live. We are making calls for the Yaida Ford campaign in Ward 8. So I thought it'd be a good idea to come on and use this opportunity to let you guys know that while we are all home, that we can still be proactive with helping our city, Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, the greatest city out there. We can still be instrumental in making sure that our citizens get the information they need for voting. I left my computer on so that you guys could hear Miss Carlinia Springer in the background. She's one of our board members. The In My Mother's Keeper campaign, the In My Mother's Keeper organization, we are very serious about helping to change the climate and the plight for the lives of our citizens over there east of the river. We need you guys. We've extended our invitation to the entire platform of candidates east of the river to let them know that In My Mother's Keeper is committed to making sure that we help these families and we help change the structure of what's going on east of that river. We need people to be able to vote. We need people to be educated about the issues and about the candidates. So In My Mother's Keeper is putting our hat in the ring. We're making calls this morning. The Yaida Ford, who's running for Ward 8, her campaign reached out and asked if we would participate in their phone banking. And My Mother's Keeper is calling voters this morning, educating the voters, and we're willing to do this for all the candidates. So if your candidate needs some assistance and they haven't asked, you need to speak up and let them know. The only way we bring about change is that we do something ourselves. We get involved. And My Mother's Keeper has not only been out there feeding the children with the candidates over in Ward 7 and Ward 8, but we're also on the phone this morning making calls, letting voters know that the early voting starts May 22nd. www.vote4dc.com. Just because we are shut down does not mean we can't do anything. And My Mother's Keeper is making calls this morning for the Yaida Ford campaign. And we would love it. We would love it if you would join us. We're going to do this kind of stuff all the way up until June 2nd. We're planning a very, very special Vote DC concert. We're doing everything that we can do to make sure that our members get out and vote. Now, I'm going to let you listen in to what Carlinia is talking to the voters about. If you can dedicate your time to these candidates, please do so. If you don't like what's going on in our city, please do something about it. Get involved. Don't just tune in to Facebook when it's convenient or when it's popular. Let's get out here and use what we can to help change our city. And My Mother's Keeper's on the phone this morning with our wonderful board members, and we're making calls. We're sharing our Zooms to make sure folks know that we mean business. We are making calls to the voters in Ward 8 for the Yaida Ford campaign. If you don't know who Miss Ford is, allow me to help you to understand. I'll give you the information that they provided us. Miss Ford, which is the only female candidate in Ward 8 who is running, she is also an accomplished civil rights attorney. She's been designated as DC as a super lawyer for 4 years in a row. She has served on the city council staff. She is an expert on housing, employment, and health issues. Yaida was one of the first lawyers to work in the legal aid office at the Big Chair in Ward 8 and continues to serve. Yaida served residents through her work on the board of directors for several nonprofits. Yaida believes that Ward 8 leadership can and must do better for its residents. Yaida will be the strong, uncompromising advocate that Ward 8 needs. Yaida will fight for a full-service hospital in Ward 8, responsible and accountable economic development where residents have a say in what businesses come to our ward, and the benefits that they provide for residents. I sound a little interesting, but it's okay. I'm willing to sacrifice myself and my vanity just to make sure that our people get this messaging. She's also going to fight for affordable housing solutions to stop the displacement of residents. She's also going to fight for good paying jobs and apprenticeship programs to build stable neighborhoods and families. She's also believes in equity in funding and staffing for Ward 8 schools, which will bring more resources to our children and fix long-standing disparities. She wants you to know how you can vote. You can vote by absentee ballot for the June 2nd primary. Because of the COVID-19, they are concerned that you guys will not vote. They want you to know that you can go to www.vote4dc.com and download the app in order that you can request your absentee ballot. Early voting starts as early as May 22nd. The Am I Mother's Keeper campaign has extended an invite to all of the candidates east of the river to use our platform for the purposes of educating voters, so there would be no reason why we could not make sure that those in the ward that are not happy with the current situation could have opportunities to do something about changing it. We need to come together as a people and understand the power of change. Let's use our social media for good. Am I Mother's Keeper has donated our platform during this election season so that we can make sure that the voters are able to be educated. It is so important that we all do our part. And my Mother's Keeper is making phone calls through our phone banking relationship with the Yaida Ford campaign this morning. If in fact your candidate is running for office and they could use some volunteer help to get the word out, please let us know. I'm going to switch screen for a minute. I'm going to show you that Am I Mother's Keeper is putting their money where their mouth is. Hello, Miss Carlenia this morning. I don't know if she can hear me because she's busy making calls. This is how we help to make a difference in our city and in our ward. Am I Mother's Keeper is not just out here talking. If your candidate could use the help, please let us know. The bottom line is to be able to make sure that our city and our citizens, that they have a choice. Tell somebody it's voting time. You know how we do as a people. We're going to make sure that our ads get on that Crank and Coffee show. That's where they're hanging out at. We're going to make sure that the downloads on the cell phones are in place. We need to dial up this conversation. My folks over at the Opium Band, they're in the background. They're not going to let us down. You know how they support us? We're going to do everything we can to make a mighty noise. The bullying east of the river stops. If we want to change something, if we want our families to have better, we have to get involved. The Am I Mother's Keeper campaign has volunteered our platform to make sure that our voters, our city, our citizens know if you need something to change, if you want something to be different, you are not by yourself. 240-274-9436. Call us. We're making calls this morning. I'm going to keep switching my screen so you can know that we serious. Whether we COVID-19 shut down or not, Am I Mother's Keeper is making sure to get on these phones and make these calls. The Yaida Ford campaign has asked us to volunteer our time this morning to help make calls to the voters, and we have heeded the call. If your candidate is not out here, if they're not visible online, if they're not out feeding families, if they're not out talking about the issues, if they're not out making sure that you know that they care about our city and making sure that things need to change for everybody, or to at least include everybody, then shame on them and shame on you for considering to vote for them. We have to change, and the change comes from us. They're going to open this city soon. And when they do, we need to be ready. Early voting starts May 22nd. If you need to send for an absentee ballot, heck, if you need one delivered, you let us know. If you need help requesting it, whatever the situation is, let us know, because we're out here in these streets. We want you to know that the bullying east of the river stops now. Vote responsibly, hold them accountable. In Ward 8, you've got Yaida Ford, who's the only female on the ballot. You've got Mr. Stuart Anderson. You've got Mr. Trayon White, and you've got Mr. Mike Austin. I don't care about no politics. I got children in need. I got education issues on the table, schools being cut, funding and closed. We need to talk it up, Ward 8. Stop letting them get by. Hope Village closed. Why do we only have one halfway house? Stop allowing them to make the decisions for your families and for your community members. Speak up, hold them accountable, stop the nonsense. It ain't cool to be with a clique when your children are in need. We're not going to stop sounding this alarm. We have got to come together east of this river and make sure that folks know that it's supposed to be government for the people and by the people. Cut this nonsense out. Stop all this popularity. I do not understand all the popularity when so many people are going without. We got issues to take care of. They announced those wonderful hospitals. Great. It's always wonderful to get a new resource. But look between. Read the bottom line. Look in between the parts that they're not telling you. Don't just listen to the headlines. That hospital or neither one of them will address the mental health concerns that this ward and east of the river continues to have. We don't like to talk about mental health. We have to. Don't call me, I'm talking. We don't like addressing our issues publicly because we were all taught to be quiet. It's not cool to speak about. Cut it out. People are hurting. The suicide rate amongst our children is sky high. Depression is at an all-time high. And we got council member in the seat that don't want to talk about it. Yes. Let's take care of some business east of the river. We are privileged to understand that community members on this particular council member's watch have attempted suicide, have found themselves without any resources, and when brought to his attention, he asked them to figure it out. If they didn't see the services they wanted, they were supposed to figure it out. I'm not okay with that. He thought he would bully me to keep me quiet. I'm not silly enough to come from Ward 8 to struggle through everything that my family would have had to struggle through to save our dignity, to make sure no matter what, that we were viable citizens. It is not okay to use that seat for anything other than the best interests of the people that you're there to serve. And when we don't speak up and we don't do something about it, we give them that kind of power. Yeah, I know the story about white supremacy. I know all about the man. But before I call any man out, I'm going to call my fellow man out. It is not okay to take advantage of our race because you think we won't say or do something about it, or you think we won't call you out. These are dangerous times. Too much is at stake. Our children are our future. They need and deserve an education. And if you're not going to be a part of the solution, then you got to get out the way. COVID-19 has us all wondering what comes next. We need to be responsible, and we need to control the things that we can control. And that means that we have got to make sure that not only are we voting, but that our community members are voting. If you don't want to take M.I. Mothers Keepers' word for it, show up at our communities in Ward 8. Start holding them accountable. Take a look at all the seniors that are still hungry. Take a look at all our brothers on the corner that don't have choices. You may have judgment. You may have your own ideas of why that's the case. But you tell me why your tax dollars and everything in between are not supposed to be put to better use. You're not supposed to be living in communities afraid of crime, constantly hearing guns going off and wondering why our children can't do what they need to do. Cut it out, D.C. Mary Berry's memory and namesake means something to all of us east of that river. And while I love that they're naming buildings behind him and everything and putting statues up, his biggest legacy was his people. And if his children are going without, and if his seniors are not taken care of, then we are not doing the job. Stop all this false prophets. Stop all this get with. Stop all of this. Hold them accountable. We can all be friends and we can all break bread, but not until the children and the seniors and the vulnerable citizens in our community are addressed. We have never been a people that don't take care of our own. So we need to cut it out. The Am I Mother's Keeper platform will continue to be a platform where we will address the disparities in income, education, health care, mental health specifically, jobs, housing. Why are our issues always the last to be addressed? Why are we glorifying people in office that do not care about our families and our kids? Use this time to help this message get out. All of you guys know what I'm talking about. We were all raised to be quiet. We handle our business differently. The man is against us. All of your rationalizations mean nothing when our children are hurting. They mean nothing when we got people lined up at their property to get food because we're not holding property managers and owners accountable to put tables up and 6 feet designations up so that we can come on to feed the people. It's not okay to say you can't come on and feed these people even though you know they need this food because of COVID-19. That's a cop-out. Because of COVID-19, because you're responsible for the well-being of so many people's lives, why don't you put the 6 feet circles down and make sure that there's a proper mechanism for us to deliver this food to these communities? You know why? Because you're not being held accountable to do so. You know why? Because we got stagnation in the folks that are in the leadership positions. They think it's cool to have folks running around behind them talking about I'm with them. I ain't crazy enough to believe that all them kids are taken care of. So while the mouths are moving and supporting, the children are going without. And it's not okay if 10 got it and another 1,000 do not. So stop with this lopsided math and take care of our communities and get involved, DC. Get involved. I grew up in a city where we came through a time of pride. It was pride to be from east of that river. And you wasn't coming over that river with no nonsense if you wasn't taking care of our people. Let's get back to that. I'm in my mother's keeper. I'm not in these streets by myself. I know better than that. DC, the DC I come from, is a proud city. We take care of our own. We don't glorify false prophets. We just don't. And their work is in their service. So stop telling me about who you voting for and show me what they've done. Show me why you voting for them, and then show me the communities that are not still in need. And my Mother's Keepers platform is open and available to true soldiers, true people that want to see our ward and our city come back. Sick of being last, sick of our kids going without. I'm sick of all the infighting, sick of all the judgment, sick of all the nonsense. Mental health matters, and I'm not going to stop saying it. I don't care if you feel some kind of way. Talk to somebody. Talk to me about it. The stigma is real. We've been raised to accept lesser, and we've got to stop because we're passing that kind of thinking on to our children. And that's dangerous in a society that will always see them as last. We have to empower our own. I thank you all for always joining in and supporting us, but we've got to take it a step further. It's that real. We need people voting. We need to make sure people are eating. We need to make sure we're compassionate. And if you don't have the time, pass them off to us. That's why we come out here. That's why we talk to you guys, because we want you to know we real in these streets. Somebody in those streets called and helped my mother. Somebody in those streets called and helped my father. I get it. I'm a product of it. And we got to put all this nonsense aside and help our city. It is not popular when our kids are not being properly educated. It is not popular when our brothers are being moved around because we don't have a solid plan for them coming home from doing their time. It is not popular when our people are in the streets hurting and we're trying to shut up the folks that are calling attention for the help. It's not popular when we don't have grocery stores and choices for food to take care of our people. Cut it out, DC. And my mother's keepers out here making calls, spreading out food, doing everything we can to support this upcoming election. Do not let us down. Do not let yourself down. Do not let your children down. 8.9, 8.6, less than 9% people showed up last voting cycle. Our dear mayor went in her office unopposed. It's not her fault when the people don't show up to show true representation of what's needed. And everything that we get is a direct result of us not showing up. We've got to do something different. Everybody's talking about the new norm. Can we come back together as a community? Can't we have difference of opinions when it comes to choices in terms of our job choices and how we raise our families and what we're going to eat? But can't we come together on the bigger issues, meaning that can't we all come together and agree that the children, their education should trump anything? Can't you put your friendships aside long enough to hold the people responsible? Can't you still be friends and tell your friend that they need to do better by your city and by your family members? Where's your voice, DC? We are a resilient city. I'm going to go back to making the calls that we promised we would volunteer to make. And we're basically educating the voters about who Miss Yaida Ford is, the only female candidate on the ballot for Ward 8. If you have a candidate in this race and you want to offer the ability to help them as well, and you feel strong about their message, we would love to hear from you, because more of the same is not an option. We have too many people in this city. It is time to wake up and come together. This is our issue, and we've got to do something about it. And my mother's keeper is out here. Please pass this message to the candidates. You have 4 candidates running in Ward 8. And you should hear from all of them so you know what your choices are. It is not cool to be popular when our children and our communities are still going without. You heard it here on And My Mother's Keeper. In Ward 7, you got Vincent Gray, Kelvin Brown, you got Anthony Green, you got Miss Rebecca Morris, and then Miss Vita Rashid, I believe it is. Guys, get to know who's running. Hold them accountable. Don't let COVID-19 stop you from finding out who's the best choice for our communities. We got to cut this out. It ain't got no business being have and have not when people are hurting. This is not our way. And those of you keep talking about Marbury this and Marbury that, Marbury was for the people. So cut it out. If your candidate's platform is not taking care of the people, not selectively, but all, then you need to hold them accountable. And my mother's keepers making calls this morning again because we volunteered our platform to make sure that we can help educate the voters. We're doing everything we can, and you're going to continue to hear from us all the way up till June 2nd. Help somebody out, guys. Help a senior out. Help a youngster out. Find out if they voted. Find out if they registered to vote. Find out if they even know about it. All we're asking you to do is get them on our radar. We'll do the legwork. We don't want people out there hungry. I don't want to hear about another young mother sleeping in a hallway with her child. I don't want to hear about another building of people stepping over young people because they don't have stability in their life. Don't care what you think about them. Call us. We got to do something about how we're living together as a community. We cannot expect other people to take care of us when we won't take care of our own. If the shoe don't fit, don't put it on. I ain't talking to nobody that don't need the message. But it's too many of us for us to keep coming in last. Somebody ain't doing their part. Who ain't doing their part out there? Who out there being cool? Who out there being get-wits? Who out there with the click when you see the kids ain't got? Let's go, DC. June 2nd. We need your voice. We need your energy. Our city is popping. All kinds of development. Everybody on the come up. Not everybody. Not everybody. But that can change. Real estate and policy. 2 new words for the day. Real estate and policy. Join me, DC. Join me in speaking up for both. Because we need both to keep their attention. Stop being stagnant. Stop acting like we need somebody else to speak about the things that we already know it is. It ain't popular to be supporting candidates that don't take care of our own. 240-274-9436 is a contact number if you know somebody in need. I'm going to keep on saying it until I can't say it. Mental health matters. Depression, anxiety, stress, grief, love, loneliness. Stop acting like y'all don't know what it is. We out here in these streets. If you can't help them, you pass them to us. But I need you to start caring. And I need you to start showing that you care. Because we got false prophets in office that think we not paying attention. And if I hear about anybody else committing or trying to commit suicide and making these so-called leaders aware of it, and they don't do something about it, I'm going to keep calling them out. Stop voting these insensitive people into office when our people need sensitive, strong leaders. Stop with the puppeteering. I do not care about the politics. Let's get back to being the people that we know we are. This is our business. This is our issues. These are our children. Gentrification and everything else going on around us, and we acting like we taking care of. We need to stop coming in last place. And this is about you. I don't care if you're not hurting. If your family members, if your community members, if the children around you are hurting, then this is your issue. Make it your issue. Stop voting for these false prophets. Hold them accountable. This is not personal for the person or the people that are in office. This is personal for my children and my seniors and my families that are still hungry that should not be. We got too much money running through this city. I'm sick of it. Call them out. The next time I go visit one of these so-called leaders and they act like they can't meet with me, you need to speak up and let them know. We have to watch this kingdom. We have to watch this city. If we don't, they'll build one without us, and our children will be the ones that won't get what they need. We're already old. We're already older. We're already making our choices. What about the children that can't speak for themselves? Don't you care? Somebody cared about us. His name was Marion Barry. Don't we supposed to pay it forward? Why are we acting like we don't know what we supposed to be doing? We don't need them to tell us what to do when we already know what the plan is. They don't want our children educated. They don't want us succeeding. They need us to stay in these drug-addicted situations. Cut it out. Step up. Represent. It's too much at stake. The elections are June 2nd. Early election, early voting starts May 22nd. Ask some questions. Find out what we need to be doing. We need to be real, and we need to send a message, and we need to keep sending a message. They building hospitals that don't really have us in mind. 130, how many beds in Ward 8? 2023, Greater Southeast or UMC, whatever you recognize it as, is closing. The new one is not slated to open till 2024. What they doing in the meantime for you? Huh? And why are we only talking about one over here? Don't we need more than one? Didn't we run into that problem with Hope Village? Why we only got one? Did you check the record and see who voted for Hope Village to close? Did you check the record and see what's really it all about? Did you see what's going on? Stop believing this social media nonsense. Stop believing what they're showing you. And stop believing them telling you, did you call their representative? Their representative didn't run for office. You're not voting for their representative. You're voting for them. Stop allowing all this puppeteering and all these so-called folks protecting nonsense. Why? How much money involved? And why do we have to have 200 registered nonprofits when so many people don't have what they need? Why? These ain't questions that shouldn't be asked. Cut out the nonsense. This election needs to have a message sent, because that last election, nobody showed up. Less than 13% in 7, less than 9% in 8, and you wonder why we got what we got east of this river. Send a message. Enough is enough. And my mother's keeper signing off, because I do have to make some calls and keep good on my promise. Yaida Ford, she's the only female running in Ward 8. Stuart Anderson has been out there passing out food with us. Mr. Mike Austin saw a big sign go up on South Capitol Street. Haven't heard from him. He haven't stopped past our platform. I guess he don't need us to do what he's doing, but we'll find out. Mr. Trayon White ain't never coming to our platform again, I guess. I don't know why. You have to ask him why. But we don't play these entitled games. And I guess until My Mother's Keeper gets big enough, they're going to keep on trying to ignore us. We know better. We've seen different. We've seen better. We're on it. We don't do politics. We do people. Mental health matters. Help us with this message. I'm your girl. I come from this town, educated in this town. My people put blood, sweat, and tears in these streets just like yours did. And when they forget, it's up to us to remind them. East of that river needs to stop being last. It's affecting our children. God bless you. Yaida Ford, thank you for the opportunity to come before the people and to give them another choice. Mr. Stuart Anderson, Mr. Mike Austin, we'd love to hear from you. There are also some independents I haven't mentioned, and that's because this race is about the primary. Guys, you don't need My Mother's Keeper to get educated about the issues or get educated about who's in this race. But anytime you'd like to talk to My Mother's Keeper about them, we're available. Shout out to my wonderful band members, Opium, and my Apple Scrapple, Miss Devon, and make sure that they show up to support our efforts. So we're going to not disappoint. And sometime between now and the election, we're going to have a wonderful Get Out and Vote concert, because we're doing everything we can to do our part. And this ain't about nothing nobody else is doing. We just want to make sure you guys know that there's one platform that you can consistently depend on to hear the real. And you're always available. www.mimotherskeeper.com. Please keep tuning in, because we're going to keep on bringing the noise. Thank you, guys. God bless. June 2nd, vote. Send for your ballots now. www.vote4dc.com. Let's send a message. Enough is enough. God bless. Hey guys, thank you for your support. I had to get that out. I do see you guys all on the screen. I love you all, because they thought they was going to silence your girl because I came out. I guess I'm corny. Mental health matters. Until you walk in somebody's shoes, don't act like you know. God bless you all. Hey, Tony. Hey, Charles. Hey, Living by Day Coach. Hey, Tasha. Hey, Greg. Hey, Antonio. Hey, Tony. I'm waiting on it. Opium. You know what it is. Kenyatta. Hey, Abdul. Hey, Malik, what's up? See you soon, brother. You know I'll be out there to pick up that food. Hey, Tasha Shaw. Hey, guys, I don't do this social media. I just do people. Let's do something together. East of the river. Let's make a mighty noise. 7 and 8. We've got to watch. We got some entitled folks in seats, and I don't understand entitlement. They can call My Mother's Keeper, show up on our platform and challenge our messaging and let us know what they have been doing, intend to do, and why we might have a misunderstanding of their efforts. The door's always open. But we know better. And until we see better, we're going to keep speaking out. God bless. Go get that word out. We making some calls. All right. Talk to you guys. Bye-bye.